Welcome back, my friends. Welcome to the Tennis world. If you can't tell, I am obsessed with Squid Game Season 2 right now. It is my hyperfixation, so I just had to make a video on this. I'm making 2 videos actually, but this one is going to be about analyzing Season 2 and what I personally think it is goated. For the older people, that means awesome, spectacular, just an amazing season. We'll also touch on some of the controversies/flaws, and I'll try to do all of this while not comparing it to Season 1. Keyword, try. So let's spin this chamber. The editing in this season is impeccable. First thing about the editing, it's sharp. There are a lot of sudden transitional cuts from one scene to another. The audio is almost never crossfaded between the 2 scenes, so it's a very abrupt cut. This, in my opinion, creates the feeling that things are going at a fast pace. There's more movement. We're moving from scene to scene to characters. This continuous quick back and forth creates the effect that a lot is going on and that it's happening at a quick rate. I personally like this fast pace. It feels like the episode is just continuously flowing with more and more stuff. And so I would say the pacing of the episodes is really good. Second thing about the editing, when it comes to the audio side of things, the editing is so impressive because it's so subtle. Whether it's a quiet sound of a truck passing by a restaurant or the subtle fading in of music into the scene. There's this sequence in episode 1 where there's this constant buzzing sound that's coming from, I think, a car. It's like this and what the editor does is he slowly transitions that buzzing sound into a musical beat that then eventually increases in volume and swallows the scene. And you won't even notice it the first time you're watching it. It'll feel like the music just came from nowhere, but in reality, it was slowly fading in. Fantastic stuff. There's a lot of stuff like that you won't even notice in your first watch. The editing is impeccable, but it's because there's a lot of good stuff to work with, such as the cinematography. I could go on so long about why the cinematography is so good this season, but I want to be mindful of your time, so I'll say that probably the most significant thing that I've noticed about this particular season's cinematography is how much movement there is from the camera. There's a lot of tracking shots in this season, and the thing that they seem to be tracking the most is the character's head. And this is fantastic for multiple reasons. Number 1, it's just impressive cinematography to be able to track someone's head and movements that precisely. And also, because they track so much on the subject's head specifically, then the emphasis is naturally on the subject's face. How angry they are, how sad they are, how scared they are. It's like the show is telling you this person is important. It makes you feel like every character needs to be paid attention to, and that is fantastic cinematography because it enhances the storytelling. Lighting is impeccable. Just look at the Russian roulette sequence at the end of episode 1. Very precise, very good storytelling just from the visuals. Camera shots are dynamic and creative. There's so much to the cinematography, but we have to move on to the sound design. The soundtrack in this season is fantastic. I would say it's vibrant and upbeat. I like the sound of the Foley, very crisp, and I love the precise control of the audio. They seamlessly fade in and fade out certain sounds in and out of sequences, and they do it so flawlessly. The sound design is just impeccable as well. All of the technical stuff is done now. Let's talk about the characters. I absolutely love this season's cast. I just want to say that season 2 feels like it's more catered to Gen Zs or to a younger audience. Just look at characters like Thanos, Player 124, 196, 380, Player 125. I'm pretty sure that this time around there are a lot more younger characters, and so that just naturally makes it more engaging for younger audiences like myself, a Gen Z. But even if you're not Gen Z, I just feel like these characters are so entertaining that you'll get the impression that season 2 is just more fun. Maybe not as narratively rich, but it's fun, man. And a big part of that is because of the characters. Player 390 is goofy, so is Player 388. Player 44, the Shaman of the Sea, she is so ridiculous. Of course, Player 230, welcome to the Thanos world. He got forked up. Mr. Crypto Bro, Player 333. this season is just ridiculous, but also progressive, and I love that. Case in point, Player 120, transgender woman. That's also another reason why I feel like this season is catered for younger audiences, Gen Zs, because in general, Gen Zs are very progressive. This season feels very progressive as well. But yeah, everyone in this season just feels raunchy, if that's the right word. Everyone feels snappy, and there's this air of less worry in regards to the games this season. I kind of like that. They went down more the route of, okay, you guys have seen the games now, you know how scary it can be, so instead of trying to make it more scary, let's just try and emphasize how ridiculous all of this is. I really like that. They went goofier and more lighthearted this season. Not to say that this season isn't absolutely emotional at times, because it is. It does a good job of connecting you with the characters. I like all of the side characters, even the minor ones, so that naturally draws you into the story. This season is also action-packed, especially because of the last 2 episodes. They are going guns blazing, and I love it. I need season 3 to be so explosive, quite literally. I'm just ready for more gunfights. Bring it on, especially with Player 120 around. I feel bad for the guards. Love all of the characters. But, of course, not a perfect season. First thing that comes to mind, Jin-ho. This brother has done nothing. Not for a lack of trying, but they just don't let him do anything. They just don't let him cook. Brother has been cooking air for these past 2 seasons. Season 3, I need Jin-ho to do something. Like actually cause an impact to the narrative. Please. So that is one big thing. Second thing that bugs me is that why is this split into 2 seasons? I'm sure all of us were so confused after episode 7 ended and there wasn't an episode 8 to watch. But yeah, I did some research as to why this was split into 2 seasons, and that's presumably because season 3 is also gonna have 7 episodes, and so they didn't want to cram it all into one 14-episode season. And the director also said that this first 7 episodes had a very natural character arc for Gi-hun, like how he led all of these people to rebellion, and then the rebellion failing. He felt like that was a good point to stop the narrative because it felt like a natural growth of Gi-hun's character arc. And so the more I read about why it's being split into 2 parts, the more I understand and am supportive of this decision. But I would just make one simple change that would satisfy me and probably a good amount of you as well. And the change is this: don't call it season 3, call it season 2 part 2, and change this season's title to Squid Game season 2 part 1. It's a subtle change, but I feel like it would just help with my mind and how it processes things, because it really doesn't feel like a season 3. It feels like part 2 of season 2. These are all the same characters. There's a resolution coming with these characters. It's very much part 2 of season 2. I read that the next season is coming out around June or July of 2025. I wish it came out a little bit sooner, but ultimately I'm okay with that. And I'll be making a separate video on how I think the next season will end and just how the story will go down, who will survive, all that stuff. So watch out for that. But that is all for this video. If you would like to support this channel, please consider becoming a channel member. Press the join button or the link in the description below, and for the equivalent of $2 a month, you'll get access to badges, emojis, and your username displayed at the end of every video, like this. Thank you for your consideration. Back to the video. What do you think of Squid Game Season 2? Did you like it better than the first season? Who was your favorite character? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to read your responses. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.